Democrats trying to hold on to their Senate majority are terrified of Blankenship winning a May 8th GOP primary in West Virginia and losing the opportunity to beat one of the most vulnerable Senate Democrats, Joe Manchin.
They think that Joe Manchin will beat you easily.
They don't really believe that. That's what they're telling you, so you'll tell the public that. What they believe is I'm going to win.
It's a Trump 2016 message on steroids. All the GOP candidates are tripping over themselves to align with the president, who won West Virginia big and is still very popular here. But Blankenship is most like the president, a hardliner on immigration and trade, a businessman openly disdainful of fellow Republicans in Washington, even throwing a racially charged accusation at Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, calling him soft on China because his wife, Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, has family business ties there.
I have an issue when the father-in-law is a wealthy China person, and there's a lot of connections to some of the brass, if you will, in China.
My father-in-law is an American who lives in New York, works in New York, and I don't have any comment about ridiculous observations like that.
You've said some pretty harsh things about Mitch McConnell.
I haven't said anything harsh to other people that's not been said more harshly about me.
Senate Republicans' biggest concern with Blankenship? He recently got out of prison. The former Massey Energy CEO was convicted of conspiracy to violate mine health and safety standards after a mining explosion killed 29 people in 2010.
What do you say to West Virginia voters who think you have blood on your hand and you shouldn't represent West Virginia in the Senate because of your role in a very deadly mining explosion?
The thing I would say to them is Upper Big Branch deadly explosion is one of the biggest reasons they should vote for me if they have family members or are involved in the coal industry. Unlike any other person that I know of, I stood up against the establishment when they falsely claimed that the explosion was caused by the coal miners.
He insists he was set up by Manchin and other politicians. Manchin's wife calls that laughable.
Don Blankenship is not a victim.
Do you think he could be a tough opponent politically?
Absolutely.
But some national Republicans are taking unusual steps to make sure that doesn't happen, running this ad.
Convicted criminal Don Blankenship. His company got caught pumping 1.4 billion gallons of toxic coal slurry, contaminating water supplies.
My name is Evan.
And Democrats are even jumping in to tear down Evan Jenkins and Patrick Morrissey, two leading GOP candidates they consider bigger threats to Manchin. It's the first time Blankenship is on the ballot, but he spent years using his considerable wealth to build the West Virginia Republican Party.
I don't see any doubt we're going to win this thing.
Which he says gives him goodwill with GOP voters.
Republicans here in Washington, they are desperate, though, to keep West Virginia's race from being a repeat of their embarrassing defeat in Alabama, where, of course, the GOP put up the controversial Roy Moore, who lost to a Democrat. It looks like the GOP establishment attacks on Blankenship could be working. A recent poll out shows that Blankenship is now trailing in third place. But, Jake, he has something that others don't. He has money, a lot of money. He's really rich, and he told me he's not even keeping track right now of what he's spending. He said, joking, that if he did, he'd probably stop.
All right, Dana Bash on that fascinating West Virginia Senate primary. Thank you so much. I want to bring back my panel. Bakari Sellers, let me start with you. I guess the question is Don Blankenship the next Roy Moore? In other words, a Senate candidate that will help the Democrats win a seat or keep the seat? Or is he the next Donald Trump? The establishment hates him, but he actually could win.
What if I told you Roy Moore and Donald Trump were cut for the same cloth, along with, a lot of these other candidates who are running as far right as possible? I think that someone with the record of Blankenship fits right in with Scott Pruitt's EPA. I think that his words, I understand the connections made between Mitch McConnell and somehow having a relationship with some Chinese brass, but the fact that he actually in 2018 said China person speaks to the vocabulary of a new Republican Party. Joe Manchin's going to be fine in West Virginia. The reason why Joe Manchin's going to be fine in West Virginia is because Joe Manchin represents West Virginia values. He's not a D.C. senator. He's a West Virginia senator. And so it's going to be really, really difficult to beat him. I just hold up Blankenship as what is a part of this new Republican Party because there are many Blankenships around the country just like him running in primaries right now.
Susan, how do you look at the race?
Well, you know, it's not as though the other Republican candidates are running against Donald Trump. They're all running as Trump Republicans. And you would think that Joe Manchin would be the most vulnerable Democratic senator in the Senate, given that Trump won West Virginia by 42 percentage points last time around. That's a pretty big lead. But I think the Republicans are very nervous that one of these few opportunities they have, that they are having a harder than expected time against Joe Manchin in a year when they're at real risk in other cases with other Republican senators and in open seats and against some Democrats that they thought would be vulnerable in a year that looks like Democrats just might be able to win control of the Senate.
Amanda Carpenter, you're not really a Republican establishment figure. You're more of an outsider Republican, but you would like Joe Manchin to not have that Senate seat anymore. What do you think of Don Blankenship? Is he a good bet to take the seat for the Republican Party, or is he the only one that Joe Manchin could definitely defeat?
No, I think the Attorney General Patrick Morrisey is a far better candidate with experience and name ID in the state. But there is a Trumpification of the Republican Party going on right now. You see similar echoes in the Senate primary in Indiana, where Republicans are running up to Trump, showing ads, wearing the hat, hugging him. And so you will see Republicans nationally running close to Trump, where people who are skeptical are just leaving. Witness Paul Ryan announcing his resignation. Witness Richard Painter, the former Bush administration ethics guru, who is now